Hey, good morning for anybody who's joined the live stream already. This is Agasically Stamus. We're going to be going through the last round of pre-flight checks here, and then we will be getting started. So if you just give me another couple minutes, we should be 5x5 here shortly. and can we verify that we're getting good voiceover commentary out on the live stream? Alright, so it looks like everything is up and good to go. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Agassically Stamus from GearWorks.com, the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube, and rounding off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube. It is very early in the morning here on Thursday, the 18th of October, 2018, and we are cranking things up, getting ready to go out for a little morning drive in Forza Horizon 4, my most recent gaming jam for this middle section of the month of October. So one of the things that I did promise for this morning's live stream is I will not get distracted by spending too much time going out on barn hunts. Just spent a good chunk of time doing last time, and unfortunately to the detriment of the stream. So as always, we will need to start things off by picking some things to drive and doing a little car collection admin. As I mentioned before, I'm not super enthused with the way DLC car management works. I just like to hit a blasted button that downloads. No. So car liveries are the way that I organize and manage and make sure that I know whether or not a car has been upgraded to max out in its class, and that I've done any tuning that's desired. So yeah, I can. So this is unfortunately the problem. One of the problems with the Forza series when I buy like the Ultimate Edition and then have VIP membership and all that. It's just you start the game off with a chunk of cars, and the way Forza Horizon 4 does, you have to go in and individually download each of those. Now, there may be a workaround for that. What I haven't done is I haven't gone to the Forza Hub outside of the game to see if I can just initiate downloads for all those without going through this. So for anybody who drops by from the recent Facebook group that I joined, streamers, viewers, as I mentioned on the group page, thanks so much for having me and letting me participate. It's been a wonderful time so far, participating in the conversation about streaming and the technology, services, community. So I'm kind of ready to bounce off of Forza Horizon 4 a little bit. I've been playing this solid for like the last 11 days or so. I mean, I haven't played every day for the last 11 days. I'm saying for the last week and a half, this is pretty much what I have been playing. Alright, so that's all I'm going to do with DLC for right now. Let's go hunting for a new car to buy. So one of the reasons that I am on today is because I missed yesterday morning's regularly scheduled live stream. So I had some appointments to go to first thing in the morning. Although it didn't really matter because all those appointments got completely foobarred and I wound up not actually getting to either of them. I had to reschedule both. I've been kind of wanting to get back to Titanfall 2, which is a legacy game that I have in my backlog. Just a game that I never finished the single-player campaign of. But I think I'm at the end game for that. And I didn't want to monkey with shifting my streaming rig from the Xbox One over to the secondary Uber boxing for that last night or this morning. Motorsport 7T. The gray hoodie. Wait. Oh, okay. Okay, fine, whatever. The leopard boots. All the stuff in some of these categories is still locked. The Archer for my showboat and Body Pop for victory. I don't know how many times I'm going to see that emote this morning. So that takes care of character customization for this session. Then let's pick a car to drive for this morning. Alright, we'll hop in an Abarth, which apparently I have not spent any time in yet. What do we have here? So we'll come back to Forza Vista here in a little bit. This is a D-class car. And I always go with an auto upgrade into the top end of the same class that the car is natively in. And that's to maintain my spread of prepped racing cars across all the different classes. To give me coverage for in-game events as well as eventually multiplayer, although I'm not playing a ton of multiplayer right now. So I'm good to go on the auto upgrade. Let's find some designs and paints. No. Find new designs. A lot of SpongeBob. Okay, we will go with that. Again, as I say every session, one of my major problems with this is that you cannot... I haven't seen any way to preview these designs. So you could pull down, I mean, you have to download it, apply it to the car, and then you can look at it in Forza Vista, but, you know, you could be pulling down offensive language or symbology or whatever, and you have no way to head that off until it's just on your car already. Granted, you can turn it off before anybody else sees it, but still, I would have preferred some type of preview view. And it may be me, I may have just missed it. Pick a car horn for this morning. And I also kind of frequently miss and back too far out. Okay, so it just looks like a bunch of vinyls. Now, I do feel the need to frequently go into Forza Vista and check. So I'm at 498 now. I'm on the sport tire compound. I feel like the in-class upgrade thing does not necessarily manage tires and wheels exactly the way I would like to. It doesn't always max you out. This is another thing that I don't understand. So it says it says that this part is installed. With this part installed, my class rating should be 498. But at the top of the screen, it clearly says 497, and that disparity bugs me. Rally spring and dampers, and this drift spring and dampers. And this is what I mean, where I feel like there are things that are maybe arguably neutral setting, but it does change the in-class car rating, a skosh, rear tire width. I do like to have my tires as wide as they can possibly be. Rim style. Sometimes you can go in now, of course, sometimes the problem with this is I do all this, and then like the first race I get to, like this car doesn't qualify to be in that race. I wind up switching out of it immediately. That is sometimes a bit irritating. So I think I will just go with this rim style just to add my own unique bit of flair. I'm not going to worry about trying to this front rim size. So I can go up to these 14-inch front rims without impacting the car grade. All reductions, which I don't want. So it's going to be some interesting driving physics, but I am going to leave the rear tires at 12-inch. So I think I'm good. So it added another 20 pounds back onto the car. Lateral G's are the same. It says the class score is the same, but like I said, it's a bit of a disparity. It just kind of bugs me. Okay, I think we're ready to rock and roll. At least in as much as I'm ready to go out to the map and decide where I want to go for the first event. So as I mentioned this morning, I won't be taking off and getting distracted by any barn find or barn hunts, whatever. What is it on home that it wants? I think it's just another barn hunt that it's telling me about. So let's work the northeast sector. So we got a dirt race here. Let's hit that up. And what do we got going on the rise and left? A wheel spin. Ooh. Man. Talk about a waste of my time. What do we got in the message center here? Sure, I'll take my super wheel spins now. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, Halo theme horn. Neat. thing. Alright. Season planner. Let's go ahead and get out there. Yeah, so I guess we just go to world map. And I'll follow my route.
Turn around when it is safe
Let's
to
go
do
ahead
so.
and go inside the car and check that out.
In 100 yards, turn left.
Yep.
In 400 yards, turn right.
So it's hard for me to remember to drive on the opposite side of the road here in the UK. Take a right turn out here. Okay, let's settle things down here.
Turn right.
So let's go ahead and start talking about the tech that is in play this morning to render the live stream. So I am playing on the Xbox One X this morning, Xbox One Scorpio, for those of you who are still holding on that term. Now, I am connected to a 4K TV, but the capture card that I'm using does not do 4K pass-through this morning, so just playing in plain old 1080p. Forza Horizon still is a great-looking game, though, even at the stock resolution. 1 mile to go to the race site. This time, I think I'm going to start, as usually I just drive in cockpit for the transit. But for actual races, I go to the swing camera view, so start getting a little smarter about trying to remember to snap into that view before I actually get to the race start, so I don't have to monkey around with changing my view settings after race begins. Now, of course, I've put this blasted drift suspension on the car, so be contending with the oversteer, which generally my personal driving style in racing games is with oversteer, but this feels very oversteery.
You have arrived at your destination.
Alright, so I tweaked the audio mix balance a little bit this morning, so I wanted to verify that the small amount that I'd increased the in-game audio wasn't blowing out my voiceover commentary. And so with the Xbox One X this morning, I'm using one of my Microsoft Design Labs controllers. You can't see the fuchsia and blue color scheme on it, though, because I've got this white silicone hand grip that I'm using on it today. Okay, cool. This vehicle is eligible. Everybody's got to have emotes now because of Fortnite. So for a game capture card this morning, for a video game capture card this morning, I am using the AverMedia Live Gamer Extreme GC550. Oh, why did this thing pull off so slow? That's not good on acceleration. Oh, maybe we shouldn't have the drift suspension on. I would think though for mudding, drift suspension would have been good. It may just be that I need to get down how best to counter steer. Wow. Well, I just took everything out of the car. Ah. Great. Yeah, cute little vehicle. Alright, let's start taking things a little bit more seriously. There's some good counter steer. Let's go jam on it. Come on. Okay, this is a circuit race too. Yeah, counter steer is great, but it really snaps back if you let it get too loose. This is going to be a struggle. So like I said, I'm using the Avermedia Live Gamer Extreme GC550. It's a USB 3.0 card capable of rendering it in 1080p at 60 frames per second. Although Facebook maxes out at 30 frames per second, so it doesn't do me a whole lot of good this morning. I'm trying to... Oh, no, 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 no! Trying to find the best path through this water. It doesn't look like on some of the tracks there are sections of dry land that you can seek. That'll help you get through a little quicker. And this car is tricky. You really, I mean, you can do the counter steer, but you really have to touch steer it around the corners. Keep it from overbanking, getting out of control. It's really kind of a very forceful counter steer rather than the kind of little minutia inputs that I'm accustomed to doing with some cars. It's a very forceful counter steer. And then if you overcomp, then you're going to be in the wall. So yeah, so the GC550 is a USB 3.0 video game capture card by French vendor Avermedia. I have both the GC550 and the GC551, which is its successor. I still like using the GC550 because for some reason on the GC551 they dropped the 3.5mm front panel ports. The GC550 has one for an aux input and one for microphone, so when I am using a 3.5mm mic, or when I want to do an aux input, which sometimes what I do for that is I take a mobile device and open up the YouTube app and look for Creative Commons video gaming music on YouTube, and then stream that in via the aux port to create my own background music track. Ugh. Not good. We're definitely going to be grinding it out this morning. And then when I use the 3.5mm mic, I can just plug that directly into the game capture card, and then manage the card in the input audio as a single device, which sometimes makes things more convenient. For a webcam this morning, I'm using the Razer Cryo. I always forget if it's Cryo or Cryo. Got a little perk. Alright, so let's check out where we want to go next. What new events do we have? Another dirt event over here. able to tune car. So I got a little more oversteer than I really want. So I want to put some positive camber on. Let's go with that. See how that does for me. And then we'll head over to this other mud event. We'll go back inside the cockpit for the drive over. So the neat thing about the Razor Kaio or Cryo, Kiro, sorry for not remembering the name, is it has an integrated ring light mounted directly on the front housing of the webcam, so that is nice for when I don't have the best lighting. And so a lot of times when I use the Razor Kaio, I actually don't use any additional lighting in the studio setup, so it's nice to have that capability and increased flexibility.
Turn right.
Oh. And probably my favorite piece of gear that's in use in the streaming rig this morning is for voiceover commentary. I am using the Razer Sirene Elite high performance condenser microphone, and yeah, you can looked over at the live stream. You can see it, I think, over here in the live stream a little. Let's get out of here before the cops come. I'm using it with a pop filter, which I have clamped onto this stool here, as well as a wire mesh windscreen. Yeah. A lot of traffic today, which isn't great, as I'm still trying to get the feel for this damned Abarth.
In 400 yards, turn right.
Yeah, what is going on with this high density of traffic? What is this over here? Is this a fast travel? Of course, my speed wasn't up when I impacted the wall, so...
Turn right.
Oh, there it is. Messing somebody's fence up. Wait, is he actually waiting for the train? Let's go ahead and snap back to the exterior view that I'm more comfortable with. Yeah, still got a lot of oversteer.
In 400 yards, turn left.
I may try. Again, I do prefer oversteer in general, but man, it's got a lot more than I anticipated.
Left.
A little bit more than is to my liking.
You have arrived at your destination.
Now, I'm going to tune the car here, and then I think you can still tune the car at the beginning of the race. What am I doing here? Oh, yeah. Again, what I'm trying to do is just decrease the oversteer and that kind of snap response that I'm getting to the point where it's more so in my comfort zone. So I'm a big fan of the Razer Siren Elite. Seems like the audio quality is pretty decent, pretty good on it in comparison to some of my other mics. I like the high pass band filter that it has, digital band filter that it has. It's got a push button on the bottom that you can use to activate that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and race with this in its current tube setup, and then if that does not work well, I'll tweak it a little bit more. Unfortunately, I'm really compressed on time this morning. I didn't get started as early as I wanted to, so... So the simple things in streaming life that make a difference. One of the things I really like about the Razer Siren Elite is that, man, that's just got too much oversteer. Ooh. Okay, this is a sprint race point to point. Always hate when I have an early morning live stream in Forza and I don't do well for the entire block of time. Kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. No, 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 don't you dare do that. Shenanigans. Like I said, simple things on the Siren Elite. One of the nice things is that it comes with a braided micro USB to USB-A cable. That is extremely long, so that's good for a cable run, because this one is running from the stool over here, you know, 4 or 5 feet in front of the TV, and out behind it is the streaming PC that I'm using this morning to render the live stream. Watch out for the tractor. And then for me to listen to the in-game audio, so I can keep that out of the atmosphere and not bleed over into the Razer Siren Elite, is I'm coming out of the back of the Samsung 4K TV via its optical output. And I push that through a media converter that converts the optical to 3.5mm stereo jack connector, and then on the other end of that cable are a splitter out into left and right RCA, and that goes into my Behringer Xenix 302 USB hardware mixer, which I really love because when you come out of that optical port, there's no way to control the volume. So putting it through the hardware mixer allows me to set the volume levels manually and externally outside of that wiring chain. could get through here if I can find a way. Oh, come on. May actually be getting to this mess. Muddy part of the track is actually proving to my advantage. Get off. No, don't you dare twist me around. Don't you dare do that. Come on, gremlin. Actually into 5th. And the way I play with my challenge multiplier, where I don't allow flashbacks, quite honestly, finishing in 5th is something I'm completely fine with in Forza Horizon 4. So the tuning isn't quite there, but it's close. Starting to get in the envelope. Here we go. Okay. Can't be completely dissatisfied with that. And then out of the hardware mixer, I am using my Razer Man of War Destiny 2 Tournament Edition headphones. Of course, this is an actual full-blown headset, but I'm not using the microphone output on this today. I'm just using them as a set of headphones.
Not to show favourites at all, but you need to make it through this next round because we're planning something big for afterwards, like the biggest dirt route I've ever created big.
Okay. So I'm going to continue working up into the northeast if there is anything new to do over there. I don't know that there is. And like I said, I'm just not... Oh, there's a faraway event here.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
It's kind of weird that when I selected that waypoint, it snapped me back immediately into the car. Usually you have to hit B to back out.
I just got another anonymous call about an abandoned
new barn
classic.
find.
So apparently this is a thing now. I'm into it if you are.
So let me, it's the best thing for me to do. New car to collect. What do we got here? Car mastery. New car to collect. I guess it's in my garage. So, not worry about that till later. Let's continue trying to work alignment to tweak some of this oversteer out. So I don't know if this is the best thing to do, but that's what we're going to go ahead and apply. Let's get back out on the road and see how that does. I know you got a new barn find. You're not going to distract me though with that side mission. No, I don't want to go for that. Why does it keep tweaking me about the new barn find rumor? So of course all of that equipment is running over to my streaming PC, which this morning I am using Desktop 4, also known as the secondary Uberboxen. My Uberboxen PCs are my DIY builds that I spec to be capable of running VR, PC games, and acting as streaming PCs and video editing workstations. So like I said, I'm using Desktop 4 at Workstation 5 for the live stream this morning. That PC is built around an AMD Ryzen 5 1600X CPU, 24 gigabytes. Alright, let me... Okay, fine. So you had a chance to bring that up on the screen and put it on my map, so I can go look for that later. 24 gigabytes of DDR4 2666 megahertz RAM.
Turn right.
Still, there's I want to dampen that turn in because it just snaps over so quickly.
In 400 yards, turn left.
We got a ways to go to get to this race event 4 miles away.
Turn left.
Ooh. There, Chumley. And then that PC runs NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070 GPU, Founders Edition card. And pretty much as feasible, I do all my encoding with the GPUs in my PCs rather than the CPU.
In 400 yards, turn right. Turn right.
I don't need that much influence to qualify for the next season. I'm looking forward to getting into summer and reducing the amount of wet that there is on these roads. Two miles to go. So speaking of the Uberboxen, one of the things I have not been doing great with is I have not played VR in a very long time, and I need to get that back into my playlist and schedule. Not quite certain. So one of the things that I've been saying that I want to switch up for Season 4 of Rounding Off Infinity is to
In 400 yards,
bounce
turn
around.
right.
Bounce around to games a little bit less, and oh, we got a new house there.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
I'm going to, but I didn't realize there was a new home over here. It's got to be. Where the heck is it? Oh. I'm not sure how much this place is.
Apparently, there are big Edinburgh events coming up, so I thought you could use a place in the suburbs. It's not cheap, but come on. This is the most beautiful city in the UK, maybe the world, if you ask Alex.
Yep, can't afford that. Might start saving up some pocket change to purchase that. But yeah, I've been saying for Season 4 of Rounding Off Infinity, and if you haven't been around for the first 3 seasons of Rounding Off
In
Infinity,
200 yards, turn Turn left.
My new seasons for the channel tend to
Turn left.
kick off in November, right after Thanksgiving, or really the first week of December, because that's just usually a good time for me, and a time of the year when I'm thinking about what tweaks do I want to make in terms of content creation strategy and what I'm doing on my YouTube channel. It's not the event that I'm looking for.
You have arrived at your destination.
So might try continuing to tweak a little bit of the oversteer and snap turn out of this vehicle. This is more effort than I typically put into tuning. Generally, I just leave these cars stock and drive them however they are. Okay, we will give that a try. Let's start the event. Really getting down to the knickers on when I'm going to have to wrap up. Another sprint race. So if you're wondering why I don't have the music turned on, that's because when I have to, because I'm concurrently recording while I'm live streaming. And so when I go to upload that to YouTube, I can't have any copyrighted music in the audio track, or else YouTube will give it the good old takedown treatment. Or worse, what they do is they mute the audio track, which has sometimes resulted in me having no audio in a given video. Hope they count that as me hitting the checkpoint. We might actually have a race going on here. Come on, straighten it up. 9th? This combination of terrain and how I have the car tuned right now might actually just work itself out. Nice drift around the corner. But yeah, what I've been saying I'm going to tweak for Season 4 is I'm going to stop bouncing around between games so much and spend more time sticking with new games when I pick them up. That's something I'm very bad about. I tend to buy a new game and play it for a few hours, and then it immediately goes in the backlog, and then as I'm generating my playlist, the other thing I'm thinking about switching is oh, no. I got rutted into that way too much. Glad nabbit. Man. Come on, get off, get off, get off, get off, get off. I hate how the AI drives like that. So I've been saying I want to spend some more time sticking with new games when I buy them. But yeah, the thing I was mentioning is that once a game is in the backlog, my backlog games tend to have parity with my newer games in terms of how frequently I... What? Allow them to come up in the playlist rotation. And with hundreds of games in my backlog, that just means the statistical frequency that I'm going to break a new game out is relatively low amongst the sample population, so which always results in me having a lot of buyer remorse about new games that I buy and then don't stick with, don't get my money's worth out of them. And man, that was what? Horrible. Yeah, we're gonna have to run those back. Like I said, I don't mind coming in 5th, but just coming in dead last is not acceptable. Yeah. But I'm also pinned up against my time limit to start getting ready for work. I should make one more tweak to the car if I'm starting to make things worse. Softening the front springs in relation to the rear increases front grip and reduces understeer. Softening. So actually, I'm going to go the opposite way. That might be a little much. But let's go with that. Okay. That's definitely the last tweak that I'm going to be able to make, and I definitely got to transition to getting ready for work here. And this thing just does not have great straightaway speed. I may have tweaked out what straightaway speed it did have. It's not what I want. It's not what I want. Down in 12th already. Driving me nuts. Now I feel like I've overcompensated the tuning and it's not going the direction I want it to go. Yeah, it's nosediving. It's nosediving even more than it was. Yeah, I do not like that at all. I'll restart the event and see. Maybe I can use Setup Manager to re-baseline it. I hope that's the case. Yeah, reset default tuning settings, yes. So yeah, I've been playing this for the last week and a half, and like I said, I think I'm ready to kind of bounce off of it and play something else, but not worried about anything new that's coming out until the 26th or so, at which point Red Dead Redemption 2 should be out. And although I did not play Red Dead Redemption 1, I have been eyeballing 2. It is not particularly a thing in my wheelhouse, but I may be playing it anyway, still undecided. Hate these little gremlins. It's not going to give me the inside. Well, the car definitely performs better in mud. Counter steering like crazy through that turn. I have been spending the last few weeks since the beginning of October streaming directly to Facebook. Recently wrote up my findings and feelings on the service so far as how well it supports gamers and streamers. You can find that post over on my blog, gearworks.com. And there are links for that on Facebook, on both my timeline and in the group Streamers Viewers. I was trying to find the way to cut through that traffic, and everybody was blocking me down. But now I've got some of that top-end speed back. Some of this looks like it may just be working itself out. Don't you block me down. Is this really happening? Am I going to go from finishing last to first? It is completely and entirely possible. Now, I got a big looping right-hander coming up here. A lot of it is going to be determined by how well I hold things together through that. Got a gremlin making a run here. You got to hold that together. This 153 to qualify. So if I pull this off, yeah, this may just be a thing where I just have to suck it up and be uncomfortable when I get some race surfaces that don't suit this car, and hold on for the races where I get good fits for race surfaces. There we go. I did not think I was going to see that victory dance this morning. Chivo! I'm level 20. Nice way to cap off the morning. So I didn't drink quite as much coffee as I would have liked during the session, but it's working itself out. So unfortunately, I cannot tell you what's coming up next programming-wise on the Rounding Off Infinity page on Facebook, because I'm not quite certain. Like I said, I'm either going to flip over to Titanfall 2 on PC.
Hey, Rusty. You've made it onto the Horizon roster. How could
And that
you
is
not,
most
given all
likely
that
what I'm
you've
going to
done
do.
here
I'm
in the
also
last
planning
year?
on switching out the
Maybe
video
at the
game capture
festival
card
we'll
and
get
breaking
you
out
a
my Razer
wristband.
Ripsaw and exercising that a little bit. But at any rate, that's going to do it for this morning's early AM live stream. Thanks so much for anybody who happened to swing by and drop by the live stream, or anybody on YouTube who happens to swing by and check out the archive version. If you don't mind, you can head over to gearworks.com, my technical blog, where I write posts throughout the week about gaming, streaming, technology in general, smartphones, laptops, PCs, all types of consumer electronics. Again, most recently writing that post about my findings and my feelings on the pros and cons of Facebook as a service for live streamers. You can also go over to the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube. You'll search for E2KG Network, and that is where me and my buddies host a series of podcasts on different topics. So we, sorry, it's really early in the morning, so I'm brain freezing here a little bit. But we do It's Another Thing, which is our entertainment series that covers short season format television shows. Right now, Dave Pecci and I are doing bi-weekly podcasts covering the Fox television show The Gifted, which is a splinter of the X-Men franchise. The It's Another Thing movies crew does a twice-monthly podcast covering new movies that have dropped onto Netflix. And out of those podcasts, we generally look at some options. One of the co-hosts selects a movie that is assigned to the other co-host to watch, and then we do a podcast review during the following live show. The Enough to Keep Going podcast is our weekly gaming podcast where we alternate weeks doing a deep dive on trends in gaming news around the industry, and then every other week we revisit our gaming homework assignment, where one of the co-hosts generates a topical homework assignment and makes the other co-hosts go off and find games that fulfill that particular research area. So most recently, our assignment has been to play through games that have faction and reputation systems, and then come back to the live show to have a discussion about that on air. And then finally, our weekly comic book review podcast, What's Your Issue, records on Monday nights. And on that, Steve, Laura, and I go through the comics that we pulled last Shipping Wednesday and review a few of those on air, talk about the best thing that we read out of our pulls, and then run down our list of pulls that are coming in the upcoming week so that the viewers and listeners know what to expect on the next podcast. So that's going to do it for me this morning. Thanks so much for dropping by. If you have any questions about any of the tech that I talked about, any of the services, any of the software, I didn't mention that running on the Uber box and to handle this morning's live stream was OBS. And we can definitely talk about tweaking your OBS settings for streaming to Facebook. So thanks so much for joining in. That's going to do it for me. I'm out. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gascally Stamus from GearWorks.com and the E2KG Network channel on YouTube. Back with another episode of the Replication Anecdotes. This is episode number 310, and we are continuing my jaunt through Assetto Corsa Ultimate Edition for the PlayStation 4. Recently released game, just released on the 20th or 21st of April. I am in the N1 series. A change on here. I'll put the ideal racing line on, because I couldn't get through that last race without it. Computer, start a 30-minute timer. So this is one of my first events. Now we're starting to get into like the real racing cars. Oh, this is a time attack? Go ahead and go into the car cockpit just so we can go look at the interior. BMW M3. I shouldn't have any problem passing time attack without necessarily follow the racing line, but oh man, this thing has no brakes. Start that over. So I've put in about an hour in this today. I have played this on PC. It is part of my Steam library. But I've been wanting to get it on console to play it on a big screen TV, and these days to play it in 4K. Just on a large display. And I would say that it's been worth the investment. Big problem I'm having now is I'm needing to train my eyes and head to look into the turn, which is a thing that I've been getting better at in racing games since I started playing in VR. It's wider than I had planned.